Hello my fellow breathers, it is I once again, Monster Breath. So today I'm finally getting around to reviewing my Nintendo Switch. Again, if you don't know the format of how I review things, I call it a 5-star review. So 5 good points, 5 bad points, and then a rating out of 5. So without further ado, we'll get on to the 5 good points. Good point number 1 is portability. I guess this is a bit of an obvious thing when talking about the Nintendo Switch, that you can play on the go and play as a console on your home TV as easily as one or the other. I've actually, I wasn't sure how much I would personally use the portability factor, especially when playing something like Zelda Breath of the Wild. It seems to be more of a pro game rather than a light-hearted thing you might normally find on a portable console. But I really have, and it's an excellent function and something that differentiates itself from its competitors. On the portability, it's also cool to be able to talk about it with your friends, which you normally do with stuff, but you actually get to bring it with you and physically show them the experiences that you've had. And that is also really cool. Something which I wasn't expecting would be a thing, but it's something that I've done on regular occasion already, so props to that. Good point number 2 is Joy-Cons. Obviously works well with the portability aspect of it all. There's actually a fair decent amount of hardware in each of these controllers. It's a really clever design that automatically lets you and enables the users to play multiplayer games straight out of the box without having to buy another controller, which works well not only for a value standpoint, but also a, how to best say it, evangelical standpoint. And it's easy then to bring it to someone, not only show them what the Switch is like, but able to get them involved and give them one of the Joy-Cons so they can get in and play and experience it for themselves. Really cool idea. Obviously with that comes the multiplayer aspect, and especially at the end of April comes Mario Kart, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to be able to taking out on the go, sliding off a Joy-Con, handing it to a friend, and playing, which will be excellent. Positive point number 3 is the streamlined, although very basic, user interface. The menu system is very easy to use, it's streamlined, any kid will be able to get a grasp of what they need to do straight away, and everything that you want access to is there on the get-go from the main screen. So you can't argue with the accessibility of the user interface. If anything, it might be a little bit too simplistic, but I expect that to change a little bit as further updates and things go on. So it's definitely a positive start by Nintendo on the user interface front. Positive point number 4 is there are many different ways to play. Again, kind of ties in with the portability aspect, but you've got your docked/console mode. You've got your tablet mode, so you slip it out and bring it with you. You've also got your tabletop mode, which is good for multiplayer. Say, I've used it a few times playing Snipper Clips. Set it on the table, flip out the kickstand, Joy-Con each, and you're having a good time. It could also be used for just single player as well, with your hands-free mode, a Joy-Con in each hand, and having the Switch sitting there on your table playing as you go. So having those different options is excellent, and again, it's that point of difference between Nintendo's take on the market against Sony's and Microsoft, which are relatively samey. Positive point number 5, Nintendo have actually made a cool thing. So, this isn't always a given, and Nintendo kind of generally do their own thing a lot of the time, and they kind of, not that they don't care what the market has to say and what the market trends are, but sometimes they've gone ahead and done their own things in the past, expecting to be successful, and they haven't. However, this time, there's a real desirability about the Nintendo Switch. It's a cool piece of hardware. The fact that you can just drop it in, take it out, and have many different ways to play is definitely a positive selling point. And yeah, there are actually other gaming tablets on the market. You've got things like the Nvidia Shield and blah 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 blah. But I wouldn't say that's a really large market. The fact and what separates the Nintendo Switch from all the others is the fact that it's got Nintendo's backing, and being able to take a Nintendo device with you everywhere, which isn't something new, but what is new is being able to dock it and have that experience any which way you want to play seamlessly. Also, something which I wasn't quite expecting with the Nintendo Switch, and the fact that it is a portable console, it really does feel like it is my Nintendo Switch. I've got a PlayStation 4 Pro, I've got even a laptop, and other consoles as well, and I feel like that is a PS4 Pro, a laptop, a whatever. But when it comes to my Switch, I feel like that it's my Nintendo Switch. Obviously all the accessories and different things you can do along the way have something to do with that. Even at launch, it's had a really large, I wouldn't say really large, even at launch, it's had a decent emphasis on customizability and making it your own, from the two different styles of Joy-Cons, whether you go the neon colors or just the grey, and then buying the Joy-Cons themselves and being able to flip them and having it all blue or all red or whatever. The accessories that come with it, like you've seen with mine. I've got the Mario accessory set, so I've got thumbstick protectors and grips, which I think look really nice on the grey. It's nice contrasting colours and everything like that. I really like it, and it really makes it my Nintendo Switch, and that's why I've had an attachment to it, because it is mine, and I feel like, it's mine, and I love it. And I'll even go as far as to say is I haven't even played anything on my PlayStation, which is on a PS4 Pro, on a 4K TV. Very spoilt, I know. But I haven't played it since I've got the Nintendo Switch. Part of that is due to Zelda being Zelda, and that's very, very good. But also because it's the new thing, it's cool, I really like it, and I'm digging all my experiences with it. So that concludes the good points. We'll get on to the bad points. So before I go on, I am going to say that a theme of when I was writing up my thoughts on the Switch is that for every good point, there is a caveat to every good point, making it a little below expectation in some degree. You'll know what I'm talking about as I go on, but alas, here we are. So the 5 bad points. Bad point number 1 is, again, the portability. I know I said this as a positive point, but the caveat to it being a portable console is the fact that it's relying on a battery. And as anyone will know with their smartphones, those birds are going crazy out there. Anyway. I'll push on. So a lithium-ion battery, which is what operates the Nintendo Switch, lasts between 300 to 500 charges, and once it's kind of hit that level, the battery life is gonna tank a fair bit, as it is with mobile phones. And the fact that this is a rather expensive console that's meant to last you an entire generation of between 5 and 10 years, rather than the 1 to 2 year cycle that mobile phones are meant to last you. It's a little bit scary. I actually don't know how easy it is to remove the battery out of this thing. I'm a bit too scared to open it. It does have screws in each corner in the back, so I'm sure the back plate lifts off and you'll be able to access the guts. But I'm not going to. So hopefully that the battery is replaceable with a fresh one that'll last another 300 to 500 charges. Also with the mobile phone example, that is generally something you charge when it's flat. The nature of the Nintendo Switch is that when you're docking it and taking it and docking it and taking it, is that it's constantly charging and it's not necessarily flat when you've docked it again. So it's teaching, I don't know, it's not great for a battery to have that sort of life. So that's got me a little bit worried. Again, it is portable and that's a good thing. Battery operated, maybe not so much of a good thing, but that's the life we live. Bad point number 2 is the Joy-Cons again. I know, again, I said this is a good thing, however, the Joy-Cons are not perfect. They are, like I said, have some decent technology in there. However, I found during much of my playthrough and use of them, they tend to lag out a fair bit. I did have that problem very early on with the left Joy-Con, particularly this stick, lagging out, not responding, and then playing the catch-up, and then you've got things moving around and you're not even using it, which is very annoying. It also happened in Snipperclips, it happened in Zelda, and that's kind of why I bought a Pro Controller. So I'll probably have a review from the Pro Controller later on, but at the moment I'm sticking with the Switch itself. So that was very annoying, actually, to the point of being quite frustrating. Also, I've noticed in the left joystick, which is obviously the one you're moving your characters with when you're playing in like a tablet mode or in the Comfort Grip, it's actually a bit looser than what the right one is, because you're using it a lot more to run around and pushing in one direction a lot, which is forward. Akin to what you might expect on the Nintendo 64 controller. Remember how the older they got, the looser they became? It's obviously very different technology. It's not something I expected to have such a loose thing this early on, so I'm a little bit worried about that, and time will tell, as with everything, but that is just something that I've experienced already early on in its life, which is about 55-ish hours in Zelda. Again, in the lifespan of a controller, that is very short, and I've already had experiences in wobbliness. Bad point number 3 is it's a little bit unstable. Now, I'm not talking about the kickstand when I'm talking about unstable. I'm talking about just the general software and OS of the Nintendo Switch. I've had the Switch do some hard crashes on me. Well, once in particular, it froze completely and it needed a hard reset to turn the console completely off and start it again, which is something that you can't normally do with the Nintendo Switch. The basic and default way to switch it off is to have it in sleep mode. The only way to switch it off is to hold down the power button for a solid 10 seconds or so. I did time it myself, but it was about that, to turn it off completely. So I needed to do that to get out of the crash. Didn't affect my save, but it was annoying, and again, not a positive point. So not everybody will have that sort of experience, but that's something that I had in my experience, so it's worthy to put in. Bad point number 4 is the relatively small launch lineup. So I'm just going to do a quick run through. I think this is all the launch titles there were, but feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong or I missed one. But in launch, there was Zelda, Super Bomberman R, 1-2 Switch, Shovel Knight, both Shovel Knight Singular and Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, New Frontier Days, Just Dance 2017, Fast RMX, which is the Wipeout type one, Snipperclips, I Am Setsuna, and there was a whole bunch of the Neo Geo, kind of like ports of really old games on the Switch, which, if you want to waste your money on that, go for it. So with the exception of Zelda, maybe Bomberman, and maybe I Am Setsuna, I have no idea what I Am Setsuna is, but it's priced at a relatively full retail thing, so there's not a lot to play for a hardcore gamer, but it is a blessing from heaven that Zelda is amazing, so that is gonna keep you entertained for quite a while. However, if you're not looking at Zelda, then there isn't actually much else to look at. Mario Kart's coming out at the end of April. I'm very much looking forward to that. Until then, it's a bit dry, so if that's an issue for you, you are warned. Bad point number 5, and the final bad point, is the power of the console when compared to its market competitors, and that tying in with third-party support. So there's obviously no denying that the Switch is underpowered when compared to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, even the standards, let alone the Pro and eventually the Scorpio. During my time already, I've seen things in Zelda which I knew wouldn't be there if Zelda was playing on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox, but they're only very small things, it doesn't matter too much. Things like giant jaggies when you're climbing up the side of a mountain, lizards and bugs that you're meant to catch that run away, which is fine, but then disappear into thin air, which is not fun. So the lack of power is one thing, and then having that third-party support with developers making games for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It'll be very hard or near impossible to port games like a Battlefield 1, like a Call of Duty, like a Titanfall, which we definitely know isn't coming, to the Switch. So a bit hard, but it all comes back down to the install base and how well the Switch sells. If there is a large install base and there is a large market for third-party developers to create and develop for it, then they will. They'll make specific games for the Switch. There's no doubt about it. Where there's money, there's a product. End of story. However, the install base needs to be there because it won't be easy to port over. So far the signs are good and that the Switch is doing rather well. So hopefully that third-party support comes. It is just a question of the install base because the power, quite obviously, is not there. Again, on power, especially in the PS3 360 era, we had it was obviously a very long generation for gaming, and developers got very clever in how they were using the hardware they were given, to the point where when we came towards the end of the generation cycle, the games on there were looking schmick, and they were really twisting and getting as much power and juice out of their consoles as they could. I feel like Nintendo have already reached that limit with the Switch. Like I've mentioned before with Zelda, that you can see some very obvious signs of cutting corners to save on power, which is, I guess, a little bit unfortunate, but again, the experience is amazing, so you look over it quite easily. It's just the fact that they've already reached the ceiling at launch, which is a bit underwhelming, I suppose. So I wouldn't expect much more than a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, in saying that Zelda is amazing, the level is so high already in that game that how can you expect more? But on a pure power level, it ain't going to get much better than that already. We've seen the limit. So take that into consideration. So with all of those points taken in, I've decided to give the Nintendo Switch a 3 out of 5 stars. So 1 star is bad, 2 stars is okay, 3 stars is good, 4 stars is great, and 5 stars is amazing. So there is no doubting that the Nintendo Switch is a good console. And don't let the 3 out of 5 deter you from getting it, because it is a quality thing, and if you love Nintendo, you should get out and buy one of these consoles. They are great. The way it differentiates itself from the rest of the market is clever, unique, and something that I believe the market is looking for. The downside is that there is definitely room for improvement, with some stability issues in the user interface, some more applications and some more reasons to use it rather than just playing games. Again, games should be the focus, but I feel like it being a tablet form, it could open itself up to other small dips into usability, creating maybe a larger market for itself. That's never a bad thing. So if you've got a Switch, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. If you've liked this review, show it to a friend, and stick around for more Switch news, gameplay, Pro Controller review. That'll be good. Until then, Monster Breath is out.